Good day. Welcome. This is your Daily Med with Lady V. Grace and peace be multiplied. As we continue to look at the story in the book of Esther, we will see from Esther chapter 4 verse 17 through Esther chapter 5 and verse 1 that God was in control of all that which was going on. Yet Mordecai and Esther had to act. We cannot understand how both could be true at the same time, yet they are. God chooses to work through those who are willing to act for Him. We also will see from the story we should pray as if all depended on God and act as if all depended on us. We should avoid two extremes, and one is doing nothing, and two is feeling that we must do everything. Esther chapter 4 verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther commanded him. Esther chapter 5 and verse 1. Now it happened on the third day that Esther put her royal robes and stood in the inner court of the king's palace, across from the king's house, while the king sat on his royal throne in the royal house, facing the entrance of the house. Remember, we know from Esther chapter 4 and verse 14 that the time had come when Esther had to go and face the king. Esther had to go to God, pray with her maidens, while Mordecai did the same thing with the Jews. They fasted and they prayed, and it was now time for Esther to act. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about Esther. Every single one of us, we treasure life. We also treasure security. Even though we know that this security in this life carries no guarantees, whether it's the security of our possessions that can be destroyed, whether it's our beauty that fades away, or relationships that can be broken, and of course we know death is certain. So real security then must be found beyond this life. Only when our security rests on God and His unchanging nature, His unchanging love, His unchanging grace, the nature of man will face a lot of challenges that this life is sure to bring our way, one way or another. So Esther's beauty and character won the king's heart, and he made her his queen instead of Vashti. Even in her favored possession, however, in this position, she now would have to risk her life by attempting to see the king when he had not requested her presence. And in so doing, we know this was a dangerous venture. But she was willing to do it anyhow. There was no guarantee that the king would even see her. Even though she was the queen, she was still not secure. But cautiously and courageously, Esther decided to risk her life by approaching the king on behalf of her people. So Esther made her plans and she made them carefully. The Jews were asked to fast and pray with her before she went to the king. Then on the chosen day, she went before him, and he did ask her to come forward and speak. But instead of issuing her request directly, she now invited him and Haman to a banquet. He was assured enough to realize that she had something on her mind. Yet she conveyed the importance of the matter by issuing or insisting, as it were, giving an invitation on a second banquet. In the meantime, God was surely working on behalf of his people. You and I would say he was working behind the scenes. He caused the king to read the historical records of the kingdom. Late one night when he could not fall asleep, and the king discovered that Mordecai had once saved his life. The king spent no time lost in honoring Mordecai for that act of saving his life. So during the second banquet, Esther told the king of Haman's plot against the Jews. And now Haman was doomed. There is grim justice in Haman's death, because now he had built a pole to kill Mordecai. And it seemed fitting that the day on which the Jews were to be slaughtered became the day their enemies died. Esther's risk confirms that God is always with his people, and that God is the source of their security. How much of our security lies in our possessions? How much of our security lies in our positions? How much of our security lies in our status? God has not placed you and I in the present position that we are just for our own benefit. He puts us there to serve him. In fact, everyone and everything that God created, he created us to serve him. As in Esther's case, this may involve risking our security. Are we willing to let God be our ultimate security? So when we look at Esther, yes, she has some strengths and she has some accomplishments. Her beauty, as we say, and her character won the heart of this Persian king. We see her accomplishments, how she combined courage with careful planning. She was open to advice and she was willing to act. She was more concerned for others than for her own security. So, yes, we can learn lessons from her life. Serving God often demands that we risk our own security. God has a purpose for the situations in which He places us. Courage, while often vital, does not replace careful planning. She had to plan. Where she was? In the Persian Empire. She was the queen, the wife of the king, and of course her cousin, who was Mordecai, was right there. He had her back. He was giving her sound advice. And the key verse we see here is Esther 4 and verse 16. It says, "Go gather all the Jews who are present in Shushan and fast for me. Neither eat nor drink for 3 days, night or day. My maids and I will fast likewise, and so I will go to the king, which is against the law, and if I perish, I perish." Whole story found in the book of Esther. God bless you. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe. It is free. Like, share, also comment, and continue to visit my YouTube channel, Daily Med with Lady V.